In the headlines, Aid Bank continues outreach program in the North. Prime Minister announces unfortunate departure of Ross, and DVRP presents designs for Eastern Road rehabilitation project. Hello and welcome to another edition of National Focus. I'm Prisca Julien. Stay tuned for details of the headline stories and others coming up. Welcome back. The Honorable Prime Minister Dr. Roosevelt Skerrit announced to the nation on Friday that Ross University has taken a decision to depart from Dominica. Honorable Skerrit says there is no animosity between the university and Dominica, but the company had to make a business decision. The crippling impact of Hurricane Maria and Tropical Storm Erica are the main contributors to Ross's decision to leave the island.
I wanted this morning to give the country a heads up that anytime from now, Ross University will announce its departure from Dominica. As we all know, this has been speculated for some time, but a few days ago, officials from Ross formally gave word to us on this matter. Since Maria, the officials of Dominica have been in constant contact with officials of Ross to see how we could cushion the impact of Maria. Over the last 10 months, we explored all options that one could think of in our discussions with Ross. At the end of the day, the officials of Ross, like any other business person, reserve and exercise the right of the shareholders and the many interests to include but not limited to parents, students, faculty, and sponsors. This is a direct consequence of Hurricane Maria and Tropical Storm Erica.
Ross has been on the island located in Picard, Portsmouth for the past 40 years, and 3 years ago Dominica and the university officially renewed an agreement for Ross's continued business in Dominica for 25 years. This partnership included concessions and the redevelopment of the campus, which was evident before the passing of the storm.
None of us can wish away these weather systems. The fact remains, they happened. Erica and Maria, which brought considerable damage to Dominica. Ross, I am satisfied, tried everything. Certainly they tried everything.
The university has brought rise to a number of small businesses on the north of the island, including apartment complexes, restaurants and other entertainment venues, shops, supermarkets, laundry and taxi services, to name a few. The Prime Minister says his government was forceful in negotiations with Ross about compensation for those who will be affected by the school's decision.
We were also very strident in our lobby for our recognition and appreciation of the fact that the closure of Ross will have a serious negative impact on the economy and the many businesses in the north, in Picard, Portsmouth. Many businesses were there for us in good times, throughout the times, and we hope that Ross can be there for them in their darkest hour. Many will need support, and we hope that Ross will reflect and appreciate this. And again, on this point, as I said, we were very strident on this. We were very clear with Ross University that there will be businesses that will be impacted. There are people who invested specifically to provide services to Ross University. There are small business people who run operations, small bars and restaurants and snackets. And we will need to ensure that we can provide some tangible assistance to those people to reposition themselves within the economy. And we look forward to a favorable response in that regard.
The Prime Minister says government will meet with the people of Portsmouth to discuss plans for moving forward. In the face of this daunting news, the Prime Minister has inspired nationals to remain optimistic.
Let us remain optimistic. This is a natural way of life. This is about business. This is about the impact of Hurricane Maria on Dominica. And everyone was impacted. Ross was impacted itself. So we have, as far as the government is concerned, no animosity towards Ross for his decision. It's unfortunate. We would have preferred the other option of the remaining, but we have to be pragmatic and practical. And we remain supportive of Ross' efforts. We cannot forget the years that Ross has been with us. And we, as I said, we will meet with the business people. As early as today, I'll be meeting with some of the property owners from Portsmouth and speak to them. And over the next few days, the government will be meeting with persons directly affected and so on. But in every disappointment, there is a silver lining, and we just have to capture that silver lining and take it from there.
The nation's leader says government has also taken a decision to give direct, tangible support to the several who will be directly affected by the closure of the university. In more news, on Wednesday, the Ministry of Environment, Climate Resilience, Disaster Management and Urban Renewal held an official presentation ceremony where, through the Disaster Vulnerability Reduction Project, the preliminary designs on the East Coast Road works were presented. In February 2018, the DVRP project coordinating unit of the Ministry of Health and Environment, currently the Ministry of Environment, Climate Resilience, Disaster Management and Urban Renewal, signed contracts with a Spanish engineering consulting firm for design services of roadworks on the east of the island. Addressing that presentation ceremony on Wednesday, the Honorable Minister for the Ministry of Environment, Climate Resilience, Disaster Management and Urban Renewal, Joseph Isaac, described the project as a flagship project for resilient infrastructure development in Dominica.
In February 2018, the Ministry of Environment, Climate Resilience, Disaster Management and Urban Renewal, through the DVRP, that's the Project Management Unit, and TIPSA, signed a contract for the provision of pre-engineering and design services for the works of the Eastern Island. This contract represented $2.9 million of investment and signaled at a critical juncture for DVRP, since the complete rehabilitation of the East Coast roads is a flagship resilient infrastructure project.
Técnica Proyectos S.A. TIPSA of Spain is the contracted firm for the pre-engineering and design phase of this project, a project to rehabilitate 43.3 kilometers of road starting at the Porcasey roundabout to end at Petit Soufrière. On March 16, 2018, TIPSA delivered the inception report with the purpose of describing the activities carried out during the first 14 days of the contract service and presenting a general approach for development and design. Project manager for TIPSA, Medina Alfonso, detailed designs for the areas to be covered, including geometric design, geological and geotechnical design, hydrology and hydraulics, draft environmental impact assessments, and draft social impact assessments. He also reiterated the roads to be rehabilitated.
These are the road segments. It's segment 1 from Porcasey roundabout to Bois Diable with a 4.5 kilometer length. Segment 2 from Bois Diable to Castlebruce, 9.5 kilometers. Segment 3 from Castlebruce to Petit Soufrière, 8.8 kilometers. And segment 4 from Castlebruce to Hatton Garden. This is the longest one with 20.5 kilometers. In total, it's 43.3 kilometers.
As per the consultant's term of reference, the preliminary design was delivered to the project coordinating unit on July 27, 2018. Honorable Isaac at that presentation highlighted other roadworks ongoing in the east of the island under the DVRP, specifically in the Castlebruce constituency. These works cost a near $8 million.
This timely intervention includes slope stabilization works, erection of retaining walls, and I also saw we have some areas just after the Emerald Pool where we're doing the Gabion baskets. I just want to applaud the engineering firm who is involved in it, who is doing it. Pavement reconstruction, clearing of culverts, and river dredging. The cost for the civil works under the immediate works total is about 4.7 million, with that additional works post-Hurricane Maria expected to cost in excess of $3 million. That's $7.7 million in investment.
The Agricultural Industrial Development Bank of Dominica, Aid Bank, is continuing its outreach to communities across the island, promoting awareness of facilities available at the bank to assist individuals with various business ventures. The bank provides funding for both the productive and social sector. This week, Aid Bank met with the people in the north of the island.
When I speak of the productive sector, I'm talking about things like agriculture, industry, which would include manufacturing and services and transportation. Also tourism. We provide loans for fishing, which would fall under agriculture, and agro-processing, which is a cross between manufacturing and agriculture. We provide loans for the social sectors, and we're talking about student loans and housing loans. And the interest rates at the Aid Bank are very concessionary, from 2%. So this is something you won't get anywhere else.
The bank is hoping that after the loss suffered through Hurricane Maria, the owners of small businesses will make use of the funds available to help rebuild or start over. The bank also provides special funding for young entrepreneurs and women farmers. Government has also made special facilities available at 2% for manufacturers, hoteliers, farmers, and artists. You're watching National Focus. More when we return. Thanks for staying with us. Residents of Dubla and Biosh on Thursday got the opportunity to meet one-on-one with the Honorable Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit, along with the Honorable Member of Parliament for the Collioure-Dubla constituency, Lady Catherine Daniel. The nation's leader took the opportunity to observe the rehabilitation of the communities since passage of Hurricane Maria, as this twin community was one of the hardest hit. Special visits were paid to the elderly and short-ins in the community, including one of Dominica's centenarians, Angela Coffey, greeting them with gift baskets and well wishes. Post the one-on-one visits, the Honorable Prime Minister took time for meeting privately with other residents. Meetings held with the Prime Minister and the parliamentary representative were hosted in the village of Biosh. Also this news time, the Minister of Information, Science, Telecommunications and Technology, Kelva Daru, announced in Parliament last week that government has selected telecommunications service provider Digicel to provide ICT services to the government of Dominica.
Following a rigorous bid offering, for which 5 service providers, including Flow and Digicel, submitted very detailed proposals for the rebuilding and provisioning of telecommunications, internet, data, and other ICT services to the government of Dominica. I am pleased to notify this House that Cabinet has approved the recommendation from the Bid Evaluation Committee that Digicel Dominica has been granted the right to provide the said services to the government of Dominica, Madam Speaker. The proposal incorporates a national fiber broadband network with failover redundancy using microwave and satellite technology, as well as cloud technology for data backup.
The Honorable Minister urged the company to provide government with value for money. The telecommunications sector suffered $128 million in damage as a result of Hurricane Maria. While service has been restored to some parts of the island, Honorable Daru urged service providers to work feverishly to restore full service to the island in the quickest time possible. And finally, contracted farmers with the Dominica Export-Import Agency DEXIA have undergone a 2-day farmer-grower training course on food safety as required by the United States Food Safety Modernization Act, which will assist farmers meet the standards for the international export market. The 2-day training, sponsored by the DEXIA Multipurpose Pack House, was conducted in collaboration with the promotion of regional opportunities for produce through enterprise and linkages Propel. General Manager of DEXIA, Gregoire Thomas, told farmers that building resilience in Dominica's export strategy means producing quality food, which will ensure a continued place in the market.
Safe foods sell, and they also create the opportunity for repeat sales. So if we have a reputation for producing safe foods, quality foods, it means that we have that opportunity to repeat and to continue to service those markets that we are exporting to. We are also aware that full implementation of the Fresh Produce Export Quality Control Act will require us to address the issues of good agricultural practices and the certification of farms. Again, that is all part of the program, because if we're talking about certified products, we want to ensure that what you do on the farms, you also comply with some of the food safety provisions that we have on the farm.
He says Dexia is also working with the Ministry of Agriculture to improve farm infrastructure in order to have better quality produced from the farms. He reminded the farmers that the food produced need to be safe for consumption, not only on the overseas market, but for the domestic market.
As farmers, you have the responsibility to implement produce safety standards on your farms and to ensure that the foods that you produce are safe and fit for human consumption. Not only for export, but we also have a focus on the domestic market also, because some of the foods that you produce also end up at the Rosa market and on plates of consumers locally. So whatever you do for the export market, remember that we're also doing the same thing for the domestic market.
Meantime, Propel's regional coordinator for Barbados and the OECS, Dr. Nadia Anselm Parkett, says the training to assist farmers be certified for the U.S. market is critical, and through partnership with Dexia, Propel is hoping to release a well-established export trade system for Dominica.
Our partnership with Dexia started many years ago, I believe over the last 2 to 3 years, and most of our support has been primarily towards capacity building through training of farmers, Dexia extension officers, and other critical stakeholders within Dominica. And as was highlighted by the chairperson earlier on, our support also grew post-Hurricane Maria by providing critical support in small tools and equipment to Dexia farmers, as well as preparing and enhancing Dexia's possibility to receive white potatoes from our local farmers. We've also partnered with Dexia over the last few years to provide support through the establishment of a fresh produce brand, also through strengthening market linkages, primarily targeting the Barbados market, documentation support, and small equipment and material support.
She says all of these initiatives are important in improving the livelihoods of farmers and will also serve to build Dexia's capacity to export fresh produce. The workshop will focus on helping farmers reduce the risk of contaminants affecting their food production and will also teach farmers how to better manage their environment.
The fundamentals of this training is based on the U.S. Food Safety Modernization Act, primarily known as FSMA, and highlights the quality requirements expected for entry into the U.S. market. We believe that all of this that will be expounded over the next 2 days will enhance your capacity as primary growers of fresh produce to meet the quality requirements imposed by the USDA.
The course will introduce 8 modules regarding food safety in order to be certified to export to the U.S. market. And that's the English news. Coming up next, the tip of the day. And now your tip of the day. Public speaking as a young professional is inevitable, and it is one of the greatest factors by which potential employers, partners, investors, and colleagues may judge you. While public speaking is a skill which takes years to master, here are a couple tips to help along the way. Always give the audience something to take home. Always provide something specific the audience can do almost immediately. No matter how inspiring your message, every audience approaches learning a tangible way they can actually apply. And 2, fuel your mental engine. Make sure to include protein in the meal you eat before you need to be at your best, as that will help you with alertness. For more tips to develop as a public speaker, read help books and listen to persons who have already mastered the art. That's all for this edition of National Focus. Be sure to follow GIS on facebook.com/GIS News Dominica and follow us on Twitter at GIS Dominica. You can also catch up on past National Focus newscasts on our GIS Dominica YouTube channel. From all of us here on the GIS News production team, I'm Prisca Julien. Thanks for watching. Have a great weekend.